Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead now and let's get the whole entire, let's look at both wings now. I'm going to come out and go back to the base mesh. Okay, so here's our base mesh. I want to detach the center section right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go into, right now we are in edit mode. I'm going to hit 3 on the keyboard so that we're in face select, and then I'm going to alt click in the center, meaning the center of the airplane this way, near the top edge or the bottom edge of that polygon. If I select up there while holding alt, it selects that whole edge loop. If I'm over to the right, it selects that edge loop. Same thing if I select that. And if I select near the bottom, it'll select that edge loop. So it favors the direction in which you select when you do this. We'll try a few different methods. For right now, why not? I'm just going to delete it. So I'm going to delete faces, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete all of those faces as well. Delete faces. So there you go. Now we have gone in and we have destroyed our airplane. Okay, we only have half an airplane. So let's get back out of edit mode into object mode. Okay, and one other thing I'm going to do on here is I'm going to say show face orientation. All right, I'm going to go back to that method so you can see we're going to software shading for that, and you can see right now the way this is oriented. I am going to select this object. All right. And you can see right now where it's put. That looks like that's where our pivot point is. That must be what that extra point is. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to set it from that. Let's set it to 3D cursor, which is now putting that at the origin of the world, which is actually where we want that. All right, and then I'm going to hit Shift D as in duplicate. So I've made a copy of the geometry, and now stop that. I'm going to have to undo that. Shift D, click. I always forget to click. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to say mirror. Oh, we have to set the pivot point real quick. So make sure the pivot point is here before you go and mirror. Right click, mirror, and we're going to go global Y. And this is going to be wrong, and you'll see here what happens. And right now part of what happened is we have something caught in the transform of the object, probably from when we rotated it earlier, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to show you how to fix this. I'm going to select the object, then I'm going to go to object and say apply and say all transforms. That's basically resetting and zeroing out all of the chowder that might be living under the hood here on the transforms, rotations, all of that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and now those are all reset. So now let's see if there's a difference. Shift D, click, okay. We have the pivots in the correct place, right click and say mirror global, and now you look, we don't have that issue anymore. It went correctly across because we're doing this now in a way that's more constrained. Okay, so now here's something we're going to do. We're going to go into edit mode, we'll go to edge select, and then we'll alt select that edge, and we will alt select this, stop that, and we will alt, oh, you know what? I'm getting ahead of my skis too. We forgot one part, or I forgot one part. We have to come in here and join these. That was why I couldn't do it at the same time. And when I join them, you'll see that it messes up the normals on the other half of the airplane. So let's go ahead and fix that as well. I will select this, go into edit mode, go to face select, pick box through all of those faces there. All right, and you'll see as usual, it's going to give me that aggravation because it's shaded. So I'm going to go into wireframe and do that again, so I'm actually selecting the faces. Then I will go to, I'm going to find where that was. We will go to mesh, normals, flip. So I flipped the normals now for that object. So when I come back in here, you'll see that now the normals are oriented correctly. So now we're all set to go. All right, I'm going to go back into edge select. I will alt select this so I get the whole edge loop. Then I will alt select that to get that whole edge loop. Alt shift select, okay? And then I'm going to right click and bridge. And it bridged that all at once, okay? If it bridges the end closed, that's okay, don't worry about it. We can always delete those. That's what's so fun about this process. It really doesn't matter. As long as you get it, you'll be fine. And we can go ahead, add some divisions, get out of edit mode, and look at that. Now we're really starting to see our airplane kind of coming to life here. Okay, looking good. Alright, so let's go into hardware shading mode. And we've got the wings oriented correctly. Let's turn back on our orthographic views, and there you have it. So we have now closed off the wings. We have the body on there. Alright. We have both sides of the airplane done. And now I'll show you one other cool little trick. I've been saving it till now because let's talk about reusing geometry real quickly. I'm going to turn off the orthographic views. I will come in here and I will go into edit mode, face select, and I will grab all of these faces on the front, which as usual I don't get them because I'm not in wireframe mode. So let's be more discreet about that. Let's click all those. Alright, so I have all that. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to say separate selection. So I've broken off that chunk of geometry on the model, and you can see there it is. Alright, I'll get out of edit mode, go to object mode, and I will go Shift D, I will click, and then I will go to move, and we'll move this forward. Okay, let's turn back on the orthographic views. We'll go into hardware shading, and you can see now that we can decide where that is relative to the front of the airplane. Looks like I got pretty lucky. I think I've built this thing so many times now I can do it in my sleep. Alright, and then I'm going to go back into edit mode. I will set this back to bounding back center, or let's go median point for right now. And I'm going to go to scale. Actually, I'm not going to mess with that for right now. What I will do is I will come in here. There's always a million ways to skin a cat. So I'm going to come in here, go to edge select, and I am going to alt select that leading edge, go E click and then move, and then E click move again. And we could distribute this one here a little better, so I alt click that to get the whole edge loop. And there you go, now we have that. And then now I am going to, let's go to vertex selection. I'll grab all the vertices at the front of the airplane. We got to be in wireframe mode. I will grab all the vertices at the front of the airplane, and I will actually scale those in. Actually, I probably should look at the orthographic views to decide how much. Actually, I think ultimately I'm going to be pretty good there for the size of the hole in the front of the airplane there. And then go to face select, and I'll delete those faces. So there you go. I've deleted those out. And now, for almost for free, I'm going to come back out and go back to object mode. Let's turn off the orthographic views. Almost for free, we get the other part of the airplane. So there you go. We have one issue right now. We still have the front part of that is still broken off. So let's go ahead and grab the front piece, this piece. Let's right click and join. But we have one more issue where right now if I add smoothing, it's not going to smooth correctly because these vertices are not joined anymore because I chipped those faces off. How do I fix that? Well, let's talk about it. Let's go into wireframe mode. Let's go into edit and go grab all the vertices, and we'll grab all of them. Okay, then I will right click and I will say merge vertices by distance. And I think going to like 0.001 meter, like 1,000th of a meter, should be okay. And I'll click off of that. All right, and now we will go back to object mode, hardware shade, and you'll see now we're back to that shading correctly at the front. And what's cool is now we've got the cowl of the airplane, and we get it almost for free just by reusing geometry. So let's go ahead and bring back the orthographic views. And you'll see, we might not be perfectly on top of it, but what's fun is right now, it's really just an issue of sculpting now. So I will alt select this here. Alt select, It's selecting, oh, I'm in the wrong object maybe. Yeah, that's why. Let me go to this object, edit mode. All right. And you can see the preview here. We need to alt select that edge loop. We need to go to scale and uniformly scale that down, and we can watch and see how that interacts with the shape of the cowl to try to create a pleasing cowl shape that we like. And when we're happy, we'll get out of that mode, go back to object mode, and there you go. Let's turn off our orthographic views real quickly. And there we go. We're getting closer and closer and closer to an airplane. Check it out. All right, and then just for the heck of it, why not? I will come in here. Let's make this all one object so that way it's easier to do this process. I'll just say join. So I've joined all this, and then we can come back in and set the alpha back to 1. And with alpha on 1 right now, we should be able to see what's going on with our object. And there you go, we can see it. Is that still on X-ray? What's going on? All right. You know what it is? It's because when we're in this version, which is software shading, it's going to give us that error. So now what we could do is if we want to look at this and have it show us a little bit more refined, we can just keep adding more and more divisions to it. And right now there's still a little bit of lumps and bumps and zits and that sort of thing. But that's at the very end. That's what the sculpting part of this operation is for. We still have to put the tail fins on here, which is a little bit different process because they have notches in the back. And we still have to put the rudder on the back and the cockpit. But we're getting quite close. And there you go. Now we're looking at it. Let's go back into the material editor and go back again. So once again, to set it when we're in software shade, right, we go to color and adjust it here. We'll set the alpha to like 0.5. All right, and then when we want the alpha in hardware shade, we'll set this one to something like 0.2. So when we come over to hardware shading, we can go back and forth on that one. So once again here, if I take the alpha up in this version, you'll see it goes up. But we're still having some issues with this that I haven't fully figured out yet. Once again, in Blender is always being bizarre, but there you have it. So I would go to software shading for right now if I want to look at that. All right, so back here again, I will come in and we will set the alpha to 0.2, and there you go. And that should do it for this video. Okay, thanks.